welcome back, and we've been having conversation with the head of the EU, that's the European Union delegation to Nigeria, and also the ambassador, the EU ambassador to Nigeria, Ambassador Michel Arian. Ambassador Michel Arian, now elections in the Northeast, did it beat your imagination that elections could play out that way?
Well, I haven't seen full and extensive and definitive report on how it went in the Northeast. Actually, even if the formal EU observation mission had not sent long-term observers in those areas, the mission itself did observe on the basis of information they were receiving from informants, from contacts they had in those areas, and I would say the diplomatic watchers that were also watching the elections went to Adamawa, for instance, or went to other regions in the Northeast, where security conditions were allowing their presence, of course. And the situation was not very different from the rest of the country. There were the specific issues of the IDPs. We have seen some IDPs voting. When you look at the figures of the turnout of the three Northeast states, they are not very different from the other states. So one must also take note that Boko Haram did not disrupt the process, which I think confirms an important element of our analysis of the threat of Boko Haram. That is, they are outside the politics. They are really not interested in domestic politics. I think it's important to understand that. So we are, of course, very happy that they did not disrupt the process. I would say the prevailing security conditions in the Northeast still made it possible to have credible results in the Northeast.
How do you see the introduction of card reader in Nigeria's electoral system?
Oh, I think we have been quite consistent in our position regarding the card readers. It's a very good initiative. I mean, it's a comment I'm doing on the decision taken by INEC, and INEC, the Electoral Commission, is responsible for organizing the elections. So it was a decision of INEC, and I think it was a good decision. Of course, there are always problems, and again, there is always room for improvement, but I think the card readers did play a major role in avoiding all kind of multiple voting, in all kind of disputes on who is a voter, who is not. So all in all, I really think, and I'm not the only one, many observers of those elections do agree that it was the right decision to take.
Some people have had to complain about the use of the card reader. So how do you see these reservations about the use of the card reader?
I think the INEC had prepared the staff, either INEC staff or the ad hoc temporary staff, to deal with those difficulties. So all in all, I think it was, again, a good decision, and it went relatively well, although it just slowed down sometimes the process. And I must say that both the INEC staff, the News Corpers, I think it's very important to pay tribute to those young people who really made a tremendous job, and they deserve, I would say, recognition by the nation, by Nigeria. So people were very committed, voters were very committed. You know, people have voted until they have got through the accreditation the whole morning, including after 1 p.m., and again very late in the afternoon to cast their vote. So people were very, very committed. But those technical issues made the process a bit too long, that's true.
Are you suggesting that the electoral umpire was able to address the challenge of the IDP sufficiently?
I would say partly yes. But you know, when you are an IDP, do you really is it your priority to vote? I don't think. There are IDPs are very much affected, and again, not all IDPs are living in the same conditions. Some are in camps, some are not. Some are just have just settled in communities, and they are roughly speaking, relatively well, I would say, integrated in the local communities. Some IDPs are displaced within their state of origin, and then it's still possible to vote. Others are outside their state of origin, and it's not possible. So it's very difficult to draw immediate conclusions on this specific issue. In any case, I don't think that the vote of the IDPs has played any major role in the final results, neither in the presidential elections nor in the gubernatorials.
What is the EU mandate for the incoming government?
Well, we have no mandate. I think we have priorities. We have priorities to discuss with the government. One of being ourselves, the EU, the end product of a regional integration process. We hope to be able to discuss with Nigeria the importance of regional cooperation for Nigeria. So the role that Nigeria can play in West Africa and with the neighbors. And we do hope that this regional agenda and more largely the African agenda will be top on the priorities of the new foreign policy of the new administration. We really would appreciate if the new administration would immediately engage in good cooperation with the neighbors, not only those from West Africa. You know that the inauguration on the 29th of May will be preceded the day before with the 40th anniversary of ECOWAS. We hope that Nigeria will really lead the process of West African integration. But the cooperation with Chad and with Cameroon, we hope will be also very high on the agenda, and we hope that Nigeria will be able to develop some form of collaboration and cooperation with those two important neighbors.
I have conveyed my personal best wishes to General Muhammadu Buhari. May God Almighty continue to bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Many people are still commenting on the way the incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan accepted the defeat, this concession of the defeat, and also extension of the olive branch to the incoming government. But some people are still saying that it could have been compelled by the international community. Was that the situation?
No, not at all. You don't compel a president, I don't think. No, it was, I think, a very, very, as you said, an historic gesture. I think the president has really set a precedent, has set a landmark. I think he was watched indeed by the international community, but also very much and very more watched by his peers. And as I said, I hope that it's just the beginning of a long history of democratic transfer of power and I would say peaceful and dignified transitions in Africa.
Now, before I let you go, I wanted to quickly comment on the transition process. We've been saying the committees, the setting up of committees in this process by the incumbent, and the incoming is yet to set up its own. But how do you see the transition process so far?
Well, you know, it's something very new in the history of Nigeria, so we are just waiting for the first decision and the first meetings. We have seen that indeed the outgoing government has set up a transition committee. They have met once already. I think the incoming one has not yet formed their committee, so we will see. What would be good if they would really work together, because there are emergencies to come and to be addressed, and it would be good that both sides do collaborate as much as they can. And there are also important decisions to make, in particular in the field of the economy or in the field of security. So we just hope they will work together.
Ambassador Michel Arian, thank you for joining us on this episode of Question Time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.